I'm Lisa Haisha. Welcome to the Legacy Interviews. Today I have a very special guest, Eve Selis. And I have known Eve like forever, forever. She's a high school friend. And we actually moved to LA together too.
Yes.
Way back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, we both came up, we both had big dreams and wanted to do so much. And we did do this and we did that and everything in between.
Yes.
Which you'll learn a little bit about during this interview. But Eve is a singer, and in high school, she was so popular and the best singer in the school, and she won Best Singer in San Diego again and again and again. She's been told she's, you know, one of the biggest stars in the world. She's huge in London, she's huge in Nashville, and she keeps recording records that, you know, blow me away. She's so gifted, so talented, and her heart is so huge and big. I love her, and you're going to fall in love with her too. So let's meet Eve Selis.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you for including me.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to make it. And this
I
is not a
know.
coincidence, I don't think, because
I agree.
this would not be okay without you being part of the 40 in this interview series.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's exciting to be here, and I'm glad it worked out as well.
Yes.
Divine timing.
Absolutely. So what we're doing here is we're talking about legacy and how people live their life. So I wanted the audience to get an insight to who you are, what makes you tick, how did you manage to accomplish your dreams and live a life that matters to you? You know, like with all the obstacles that come into play.
Yes. Interesting. I come from a large family, as you know, and when you're one of 8, the only way to get attention is to go, look at me, look at me, look at me. So it's kind of not surprising that I went into performing and singing. But what happened with my singing was we were doing a family concert, which is basically a captive audience, and just singing and singing and singing, and I heard my grandmother lean over to my father and say, Eve's got a good voice. And I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and when you're that young and someone tells you you're good at something, you just believe them. You just, oh.
Yeah.
So from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to be a singer. That's what I can do, and I'm going to be a singer. And I sang all the time and drove my family crazy. And just would tell everyone, I'm going to be a singer, I'm looking for a band, and then, you know, you get it out there, you throw it out there, and people start hearing it, and I started singing out of high school in bands, and then started doing nightclub work, where you're working 5 days a week, 4-hour nights, and smoke, and that's kind of why I sound the way I do. And then I got in a band. I was living in LA, got in a band in San Diego, so I was going back and forth to do these gigs, and they did a Department of Defense tour and asked if I wanted to do it, and I had just joined this band because I was only going to be in it for a couple of months because I was getting discovered, you know. And they said, why don't you decide whether you want to go, and the Persian Gulf War the first one hadn't started yet in 1991. And it was 3 months before they were leaving, and I just talked to my dad, and he's like, you got to do it, it's exciting, how often are you going to get to see this part of the world, and on someone else's dime, go do it, sing, do what you love. So I went ahead and did it, and on that flight over, the guitar player whom I had known from San Diego, he and I ended up writing a song together after we landed, after 17-hour flights, landing in Spain, of all places, and there were machine gun tanks on the tarmac. I'd never seen anything like that. We were terrified. Nobody knew what was happening. The ground war hadn't even started yet, so it was a scary time. And we wrote a song, and then it just clicked. And when you find someone that you work with musically, and you just get them, and they get you, we started writing. We've been writing songs together now for 23 years. And so from that, we just decided let's try to get a deal. You know, the whole thing that you do as an artist. And music has just always inspired and made me happy. Even when I was a baby, my mom said the music came on, I would just start moving and shaking and whatnot. And it was just a wonderful way to express myself and get my emotions out and write songs. And then once we went to Nashville and started getting some connections there, they hooked us up with better songwriters. And if you want to get better at doing something, work with someone who's better than you are, because you learn a lot and you have to step up your game. So we
Who are some of the artists you've worked with?
We worked with a singer-songwriter named Kim McLean. She is amazing. She's had over 400 cuts, and that's in the secular field as well as Christian and gospel music. Doug Kreider, who's an amazing songwriter. He's married to Susie Boggess, who's has had a lot of fame in country music. And of course, we have people in San Diego that we work with as well. And we just kind of like the School of Knox type of thing, you know, where you get all excited and you put all your focus into, I got to do this and I got to make it, and you kind of, you don't realize it until later that maybe you were focusing in on not quite the right thing. And we got offered a deal, and we were close to getting ready to sign it, and then they said, we've decided to go in a different direction.
Ah, I hate those words.
It's the worst thing in the world to hear. But it was the best thing that could have ever happened, because I never would have fit into their label and what they wanted me to be. It's funny, in the music industry they say, oh my gosh, we love you, you're amazing, you're great, now change this, 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 and this, and then you'll be famous, you know. And so made a right turn after meeting all these amazing songwriters, and just decided, I'm going to do music and songs that mean something to me, and that touch my soul. And if they touch my soul, I know I can get you to feel it too.
Absolutely.
And that was where I finally found my ground, and we started making CDs on our own. And it's definitely harder to do as an indie artist, but the way the internet is now today, you can get so many fans. I get fans from all over the world because they can get online and get on Facebook and listen to music, and they can find you on YouTube, and they can come see you at a gig.
Someone could turn them on to you, and they could easily research you and get samples of your work.
Right, and back when we lived here in Los Angeles, you had to pay a promoter to get your music to a foreign country, because the internet may or may not have been discovered then. Right.
I remember though, back in the day when the internet, I was reading about you, and they said you're the first person who's worked the internet to, you know, brought in your fan base to like 1 million or something. It was like unbelievable.
I got really lucky because MP3.com was based out of San Diego. And so they were getting local acts, and at the time I think I had just moved back, and my husband of course is very internet savvy. So it really pays to have people around you who are experts at what they do, because I can barely check my email. I mean, that's not true. I'm actually very good on the internet, I mean on the computer now, but at the time it was like, what? And anyway, so that's basically how I got started, and how I've just been blessed and continue to be able to do what I love for a living. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Share a little bit about how maybe you came up to LA seeking fame, and when fame didn't happen, what you went through, and how you recuperated from that and then focused on the music. And what that, there's everyone today, they'd rather be famous than anything else. Fame is just the dream. And I know a lot of famous people, you know a lot of famous people, and it's really not the dream.
No.
A lot of people who are famous are saying, we don't want the fame, we just want to do our work, because it's so invasive, especially today.
I can't
they
imagine.
have no privacy whatsoever.
I can't imagine what it's like to live under a microscope and have everything you do. You're going to go get gas, and someone's there taking pictures of you. You know, just whatever you're doing is being documented all day long. That would be actually hell, I think.
And anyone you're with, they could tell the tabloids, tell a story on you, and now, whether it's true or not, it's out there.
I always decided that if I got famous, that famous, I would sell my own stories to the tabloids. I would feed them misinformation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, you know,
your best friends just, you know, I know her really well. Here's a picture of us together, and because they really make you have proof that you know the person. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I think it's age-related, fame, wanting fame. When you're younger, you just think, I just want people to notice me, and I want people to tell me I'm good at what I'm doing. I need that reinforcement, and you may not be as confident, or you may be very confident, but we still need that, and it's a form of love. And so you think, I want to be famous, without any knowledge of what that actually means, which is why I think a lot of young people who get famous self-combust, because they're not grounded enough in spirituality and in who they are and what they have to offer, more than what it is that fame is to them. And so I remember in my 20s, I'm like, I just want to be famous. God, please make me famous. And then in my 30s, it was like, I just want to be able to write a good song. And then in my 40s, I just want to write one great song. You know, it's like as you get older, you just your whole attitude changes. And also, what I've discovered as I've gotten older is that I love singing. I love performing. That's my bullseye in life. I know it. When I'm on stage and the music starts, I just am exported into this amazing place, and I know I can take people on this ride with me. So it's super fun for me. But that's about 2 hours of a 24-hour day. And I realized as I was getting older that if you're not happy for the other 22 hours, then what does any of it matter?
That's very interesting. You're right. It's like 2 hours besides if you're practicing or whatever, but still 2 hours on stage.
And I think that's what it is for a lot of people. They're only happy when they're on stage.
And that's when the drugs come in.
Exactly. And they're miserable all the rest of the time. And so I I just realized, you know, because people always ask me, well, how come you're not a household name? How come you're not huge and famous all over the world? And I would always have, oh, I don't know, I just haven't got the opportunity or whatnot. And then I finally realized, I don't think I really want that kind of fame. I made clear choices on my path. I could have been out on the road 300 dates a year if I'd wanted to, but I wanted a family. I wanted to have kids. And I love walking my daughter to school. So as an indie artist, I can say, okay, I'm going to tour these dates. I'm going to be home so I can walk my babies to school these dates. I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a wife.
And you left LA relatively quickly.
I left LA. I was here for 4 years,
yeah.
and you know, besides a few friends and wonderful memories of things that will remain unnamed in our 20s. The only thing I really missed about LA was the food. There's some really great restaurants out here, but the traffic and and
the stress and everyone trying to make it and the cutthroatness.
And the weirdest thing when you walk into a restaurant and everybody's looking to see if you're somebody, and then when they realize you're nobody, they're like,
whatever.
It's just that weird feeling of every time you go anywhere, you're on like, are you somebody? Oh, you're nobody. And then and so I think it was, as I got older, I realized what was most important for me. And then as an artist, if you're not, I'm talking about the spirituality of being an artist. If you're not connected to that, then it's hard to tap into your artistry and find those emotions that you want to connect to people. And the most important thing I think I remembered as I got older was, it's not really about me. And of course you're like, well, what are you talking about? You're the one on stage and you're singing. But once I realized that it was more about the audience and how you can make them feel something and how you can maybe take them away. They had a horrible week and they just want to forget, and just take them on this journey and take them on this ride. That was when I finally realized it almost takes the pressure off you as an artist to go get out of yourself, get away from your quit interfering with your art, get out of your head and just let it, almost like you're a conduit, and let it come out and give. That was when I started receiving so much more, like crazy. Like you don't even realize how much you're getting so much more from it then. And of course we all want to hear, oh, you're doing a good job, or I really love that. And it's kind of like that positive reinforcement that you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing. But that was huge for me. And then now just feeling more like I know my truth. I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to sing my songs that feel good to me, sing other people's songs that I totally connect to. You hear a song, you're like, oh, I wish I had written that song, because you just know, you just can sell it and feel that emotion. And that's exciting as an artist. That's fun.
Yeah, most people in the world, they want to be a rock star. Over any other professions, and you get to do that every day or every night.
Right. So, and it is fun, but you know what? There's so much work
It is a lot of work. So that's why I want you to share a little bit about, if you really want something, you got to work for it. It's a journey, and you can't just say I want to, play Carnegie Hall. You have to say, I'm willing to write the songs, do the work, and you're here about to work all day to write and to perform, but you're writing all day, and you're a real person. You walk your kids to school. You have issues. You've got personal stuff going on.
Right. It's definitely. I think it's about balance.
Yes.
Because there's definitely that. It's not like your artist juices are running all the time too. Do you know what I mean? Like your inspiration doesn't. You're not feeling like
you can't just go, I'm going to sit down and write.
Yeah, I'm going to write. Sometimes you sit down and you're just like, I'd rather go to the dentist. I can't, nothing. And you're stuck in your own whatever drama is going on in your life. And then there's all the little extra things that come in of like running a household and being a mom, and then also wanting to be a wife and whatnot. And so what I found that works for me is making an appointment to do it, which seems like, You're what? You're making an appointment? That doesn't seem like it's very artistic in a way. But it's like almost a promise to yourself that this is time I'm going to have for me, and I'm going to sit down and write something. And it might be amazing, it might be crap, but I'm going to do it. And for the very first time in my life, I wrote a song all by myself. As a musician, I know enough chords and I'm proficient, but I can't really accompany myself on guitar or piano. But I know about it. But I've always relied on the music of other people, and the lyrics have been co-written, and the ideas and melody will come to me, and then my guitar player Mark will just put music to my melody. But just sitting down and challenging myself and say, hey, why not write it? And I did, and it's a pretty good song. I was like, hey, you know, it's this doesn't suck. And so it's almost like challenging yourself in any place that you are, and knowing that you can't just make it happen.
But how do you stay motivated? Especially if you're going through a hard time, how do you stay motivated? So I'm going to stay on this path, or and not get that day job, and then start doing another career, and wishing you did, you know, follow through with what your heart, you know, is calling.
That is hard, because there's that little pesky thing about needing to eat and pay your rent.
Yes, that little thing.
And I have been fortunate enough that my husband has a good enough career that he can sustain us, and so that my income is extra, and it's not solitary. Because if I was a single parent, I would have probably a full-time job, and then it's even harder to find it.
So when do you know when you're supposed to be following your dream, or if you're supposed to, you know, settle first?
Oh, that is such a good question, because I think it changes
changes
all the time.
Money. Do you keep doing it and get a smaller place and a smaller place, or crash on, or do you just say no, this wasn't meant to be? How do you know?
I think you do something long enough. I use the picture of you hit your head up against the wall enough times and you start bleeding. You're like, this isn't working. This really hurts. I'm going to stop doing this. You can tell when you're just.
A lot of people say 7 years. If you haven't done it, stop. Because if you didn't work hard enough in those 7 years, you're really not hungry enough, even if you're talented. And maybe you're not talented if you worked hard enough and you didn't make it.
Yeah, exactly. And also knowing that, you know, accepting that your path and your journey is exclusive to you, and is also part of a bigger picture. So just because I didn't choose the same path that, say, Madonna chose from the 80s, and where she would in her fame, doesn't make my path any less important. And I think it was coming to that realization and accepting, oh, it's so important to be in the moment of where you are in your music. And I was, for so many years, yes, I'm happy, but if I was just over there, if I could just do that one thing, I know I would get what I needed. And it was never true. You'd get there, and there was always the next thing. And
I'm so glad you said that, because so many people are saying, I love what I do, but I'm just not good enough, or I never made it. You did make it if you're following your dreams. Even if you quit and say, I'm not sustaining myself, you still made it, because you followed your dreams, and you did something that most people don't take the time to do, or won't risk their life for. And it's about the journey, it's not the destination. So what did they learn and gain from that?
Yeah, you always hear that too. It's about the journey. And even people who make it to the top of the top and are super happy and love their life still talk about the good old days when they were, you know, sleeping on people's couches and, you know, writing those songs on toilet paper or whatever they were doing.
I loved it when we had a blue shag carpet with, remember the roaches everywhere?
Oh, God. I mean, I'll never forget, they came in and painted, they repainted a wall, and there was a cockroach painted into the wall. They didn't even bother taking it off. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the Hollywood dream.
This is the dream, and putting the butcher paper up and just putting whatever inspired us on the wall, a saying or cutting something out of a magazine. But that's like, it's the journey. At that time, it was like, really? This is what we're doing?
Yeah.
But looking back, it's like the good old days.
It is.
It's like when you go, God, it was fun to taste everything in life, because that's what life's about, to taste. Not always, life is not always about how much money you have. It's about experiences and moments, and how you got through them, and how you developed or shifted or changed. And I think that shifted us both, going, we want more.
Okay, the cockroach is not working for me.
But we could do it if we had to.
Right.
So it's worth following our dream for.
Yes.
To live that way, because that's what we wanted. We saw the bigger picture, the vision. So can you share with the people listening to this about how people could see their vision, instead of just 3 feet in front of them and saying, I have to eat now, so I can't do that. That wasn't meant for me. That's for other people, because I don't have the money, or I don't have the parents or the connections, or the whatever. You
can always find money. If you get down to the, you know, doesn't it always happen? You have not a dime in the bank, and the car breaks down, and you have to, there's money to be found. But it's not that. I think what we do is we look and we see this mountain ahead of us. Oh, I got to get up to the top of there. There's only one way. One step at a time. And so I think it's just that constant reminding yourself that I have my goal. It's right there across the room, and there's 1,000 million ways I could get there. I could go forward, I could go backwards, I could go around the block, I could, do circles in the room, I could do whatever your goal is. Get step by step, and don't make it a goal of, I've got to direct and score and write my first movie and all these things. Make it an attainable goal that you can then reward yourself for things, know. And sometimes, people put such a price on fame, but like the other day, I did a gig. A friend of mine asked, would you come and do a little house concert for my sister-in-law? She's dying, and she's only got a couple more weeks, and music makes her so happy. Would you come and just sing some songs in our living room? And I'm like, yeah, of course I will. And it worked out, and we came and did this, and it was sad, bittersweet, because life was ending, and then there was life around, and all the people that were crying were the people that were family that were going to be left behind, and the person that was going through it was just, happy to be still here and happy to be in the moment. And afterwards, I went up to her and I hugged her and I kissed her cheek and I said, we're all in this together. We're all connected. I love you. I'd never met her before, but I just felt this calling to do that. And she said, thank you from the bottom of my heart for playing music and making me feel better for a moment. How do you put a price tag on that? How do you really, honestly, there's no amount of money to know that you...
And you don't need a Grammy for that, to say, oh, here, I'm validating you.
Or, or people voting on it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And so that's just a memory that I'll have forever, a memory that her family will remember, and a moment of energy that she was able to connect to before she left this planet. And she was okay. She said to me, that's why I'm okay, because I know we're all connected. It was an amazing moment. And I think it's moments like that that keep you going, because it is frustrating when you say, you see somebody doing something, you're like, I could do that, I'm better than that, or whatever. It's never really about that. It's always about opportunity and being at the right place at the right time, who you know. There's all sorts of things that come into play. I think it's just about being true to yourself and being honest and saying, I'm happy today. Yes, I would love to sell 1 million records. I would love to play Shea Stadium. I would love to open up for you too, by the way. I would love to open up for you. If you're watching. or Martina or anybody. Rascal Flatts, take me out. It would be wonderful, but it's not going to make my happiness. It would just add to the happiness.
It would make everyone else's happiness. So you truly are
seen. I love it. Thank you. I really would love that opportunity. And again, every day I get up and I say, okay, what's in it for me today? What am I here for? What am I supposed to be doing? Who am I supposed to help? Who's supposed to help me? We're, like you say, we're all connected, and we're all here. It's not always about art.
Yes, exactly.
It's about sometimes just smiling at a stranger who, I think it's going to be fascinating, as I believe in God, and I believe we're going to get to that place, and we're going to be fascinated at all the people's lives we touched that we had no idea.
Yes.
A smile, a kind word, a song that saved somebody from depression, a song that helped somebody get through another day.
Absolutely. So it's about going out there and making a difference each day, even if it's smiling at someone at the grocery store, or whatever it is, the simplest thing. Or if you're feeling bad about yourself, go give back, and then you'll feel good about yourself, and maybe your life will start working out more, because you're not going to be focused on everything you lack.
Yes.
So you're focusing on what you have to offer when you make someone else smile.
Yeah.
So the big question.
Okay.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, that's a hard one to answer. As an artist, of course, I would like my music to be my legacy, and I think the most important job you have on this planet is being a parent. So I would want to be remembered as a good parent, and I think what I know for sure is that I want to be remembered as making somebody feel good. Somebody feel better.
Yes.
Maybe just know that somebody, maybe they don't know me, maybe they've heard a song, maybe they know me through a friend or online or whatnot, but they got that feeling from me that I was energetically giving and that I was wanting to be remembered for just emotion and feeling, and that I could take you on a journey with me. And if we walked away, if you didn't even remember my name, you just remembered, wow, I feel better. I really want that emotion to last, and that feeling, that inspiration, and that feeling to last. And you know,
oh, that's beautiful.
And the CDs will be there,
absolutely,
unless they disintegrate. I don't know what the next generation's going to be. The
They'll
next
live online
digital thing.
Yes.
But you know, how cool to have your generations from now be able to go back and listen to music of this century,
yes.
and then to go, that was my grandma, that was my great great grandmother,
yeah.
and then maybe get that feeling just from the music.
Yes, and inspiring.
And that emotion.
People
yeah.
100 years from now.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So that's, I think, it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this.
You're
I'm
welcome.
honored.
Oh, so how can people get a hold of you or listen to your music?
EveSelis.com. That's EveSelis.com.
All right. And we'll obviously post that also.
Okay.
So thank you so much. It's so great that you're here.
Thank you.
I love it.
I love it too. How about a hug?
All right.